Larry Sharp here, host of the Sharp Way Show at night. That's what I actually do, is do that stuff at night. But now I'm here on a free solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York, WENY, Elmira, Corning, The Patriot, and WACK in Newark, New York. Yes, that's the cool Newark. Give me a buzz, 585 346 3000. I want you to think, if you could, about a young person. And when I say young, I mean in their 20s. That's how I define young, I guess. If you're 20, you might not define that as young, but I will define that as young. And they're trying to get their life started. Perhaps they've graduated college and they have some debt and they move to a city. Maybe they move to Rochester, New York City, Buffalo, some city, in a hope that they can grow their lives in some way, hopefully financially, maybe find a relationship, all types of cool things. And they rent a place and they have a job and maybe a side hustle to try to make some extra cash. Maybe they have a couple of roommates, maybe one, maybe two, and they're living their life. And this is, say, 2020, as an example. And all of a sudden, the government starts to close the economy. You lose your job. Their side hustle is now stopped. So now there they are. No more cash. Hardly any savings. They've got to try another side hustle to make some money. Or maybe they instead go on, government assistance in some way to make some extra cash so they can maybe try to pay their rent if they can, or maybe try to pay their student debt, which they have to pay, or just live. Any of those things. And the options they begin to see is, do I go back home to mom or dad? Do I basically screw over my roommates because I can't pay their rent? What do I do now? And I would ask you, how do you think that 20-something feels? That 20-something was told her whole life that if she just does the right thing, if she passes the right tests, if she goes to college and then takes the step of going on your own and going to a city with that college degree and the debt she took on and the cool tests that she passed, there'll be a future for her. And there isn't. And it isn't really her fault. Not even her parents' fault. It's a lockdown fault. It's a government fault that she has no control over. Do you feel for her? Do you have empathy for this young person who now can't pay their rent and has to have an option of uprooting everything she's tried to grow? What if she's been here for 2 years and she has a social structure here, maybe a relationship here, maybe a job she's hoping to go back to, or a career field that is good in this world? And now she's got to go back and leave, shut it all down, reboot her whole life again. Again, not her fault in this case. I'm sure people make mistakes and it's their fault. In this fictitious case we're making up, it's not her fault. Do you have empathy for her? I do. I feel for her. I think it's a tough spot. And I understand why some people would say, we have to have a rent moratorium for her. I get that logic completely. I get that emotion completely. I feel it. But let me talk to you about somebody else. Same time frame. They are older. They're in their 40s or 50s. Let's say 50s. A couple in this case. And they had a daughter similar to the young lady we spoke about. And that young daughter went off to college, and they are helping to pay for this daughter's college and school. And now she goes off and they have a different lifestyle. They decide to change their lifestyle and they spend tens of thousands of dollars to fix up their home now so they can rent out a part of their home. That's part of their plan. They spent the money on fixing the home. and they're paying for their daughter's college debt, and now they have a renter. That renter is in trouble too and doesn't pay and stops paying the rent. Well, that couple now, what are they going to do? That couple who was counting on that rent, they don't get that rent now. So are they going to not pay their mortgage? Are they going to not help their daughter with her college, which they promised her? Are they going to change their lifestyle? Are they going to have to sell their home? Where are they going to be? Do you have empathy for them? I do. That's not their fault either. That's a government fault. And I understand why people would be against the idea of trying to help out the renter because it hurts the small landlord. Makes total sense. I get the emotion. I get the logic. I get both. This isn't a black and white situation. It isn't just to hell with the renter or to hell with the landlord. Both people are hurt here. And in this case, not because they were bad or mean or corrupt or stupid or insert bad thing here. The whole thing happened because the government shut the economy down and then decided to make up for it to have a moratorium on evictions and basically rents. That's a double-edged sword. But let me go to one more piece. Now, if you would, imagine a relatively wealthy person, pretty wealthy person. He has a bunch of his money with a bunch of his other friends in a holding company. That holding company has about 300 units, maybe 400 units, rental units. And now, because of the moratorium, about 10%, maybe even 20% of their units aren't paying. So they got 400 units, 40 to 80 aren't paying. They have a law firm that's on payroll, basically. They're paying a retainer. The law firm can act to pressure these people. They also have lots of assets, which they can take out loans against to pay bills. They also have 300 and some odd units that are still paying rent. What am I saying? While that larger group of investors is struggling a bit, but compared to the first two, nothing. They'll be fine. They're going to struggle for a little bit and a little bit of a pain, but that's it. They're going to be done. They'll be fine. They're not going to sell anything. They might go into a little bit more debt, maybe. They're going to be fine in the long run. In fact, since they are still able to get loans because of all their assets, they'll actually be able to buy the couple's home to gain more assets. So when this is over, while they may have some more debt, they will also have more assets to pay off that debt. So they'll be fine. So why would I tell you these three stories and ask you how you felt? Because in this specific case, what's happening now, the way the government's acting, the only people who aren't hurt are the big guys. That's it. The only people who aren't actually hurt are the big guys. Yet again, the little guy, no matter how you slice it, gets screwed. And the big guy, no matter how you slice it, is going to be just fine. This is what's happened with COVID and the government response to COVID. If you look at the biggest issue that anyone who is middle class, working poor, on the government assistance in some way, shape, or form, what's the biggest issue that they deal with? Debt. Debt. If we were to do anything to help anybody, it's not to stop evictions or to stop rent or to give them a bunch of money. It would be to handle debt. If you handle debt, Americans can survive. We can deal with this if you just handle debt. And second, stop giving people money and instead help them to make money. How many times do we have to hear this old fable? Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. I mean, how many times do we have to say that? How many times do we have to think about that before we actually do it? The response to all of this should have been twofold. If we're going to have a problem, then handle the debt. And if we're going to have a problem, instead of giving people money, give them ways to make money. Give them ways to move forward. Support people's growth. And you don't have to give them a fish. And the best part is, for most people, you don't even have to teach them how to fish because most people already know how to fish. Some don't. And you can give those people who don't a little help on how to fish. But most Americans, we already know. Just help us to fish. Don't break our fishing rod. Don't make us pay $1 bazillion for a fishing license. Just let us fish and encourage us. And almost always, we're going to wind up being okay. That's how that should have worked. What we did was not the right answer. But there was a right answer. And I spoke about it last year. And I'll speak about it again. And I think you know that that solution was indeed a free solution. Of course it was. Larry Sharp here on A Free Solution. Reach out to me, 585-346-3000. Back after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
The Finger Lakes Castle team is in its 7th decade of factory direct service to the service professional. From cleaning the ins and outs of your vehicle to keeping you on the road, Castle's got you covered. Castle makes streak-proof glass cleaner, FDA-registered sanitizers, and EPA-registered hospital-grade disinfectants. Remember, when you need to keep it clean, use what the pros use. Castle. Accept no substitutes.
Castle keeps it clean.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Hey, everybody. Larry Sharp here on A Free Solution. And by the way, this show is on like every day. You can listen to it, watch it every day. Just follow A Free Solution on Facebook and YouTube. It's that easy. You get to hear the super cool Kevin Wilson, and we even get the ultra super cool Andrew Holster on once in a while. Come on now. Nothing but a win there, right? Nothing but a win. Absolutely. Here on A Free Solution, WYSL in Rochester, New York, WENY, ENI, Elmira Corning, The Patriot, WACK in Newark, New York, 585-346-3000. I want to grab a couple comments from the web, and then I want to go into the idea that I think we should have used. Nate says, who's paying rent right now? I know people with tenants who are making more on, is it UI, universal income? Is that what you mean? Than they were before lockdown, and they're still not paying rent. Is there going to be any compensation? Nate, that I know of, there is supposed to be some. And one of the problems is, as some of you may know, the federal government has decided they're going to have about $2 billion or so. I think that's coming for rental assistance or something like that. And New York State also has like $2 billion. The question is, who's getting it and how, and why they're even getting it. And cronies are going to get it. So will there be some? Yeah, there'll be some. Will it be enough? Probably not. Will it be fair? Probably not. But there will be some. And then the local politician will say, see, I gave you some money. Nate, I'm great. You have to vote for me because I gave you some money. See? I think that's what's going to happen. And the other problem is, when you make a moratorium and you say you can't evict people, a lot of people decide they're just not going to pay. And that's been a thing, right? What you're saying, I'm sure, is anecdotal, but there are so many anecdotes that it's got to be based on something real, because you aren't the first person to tell me that. I've heard this same story of people being able to pay rent, but choosing not to, a lot. And now, again, those are anecdotal. Do I know how pervasive that is? I don't. But if there's enough people talking about it, it's an issue. That's for sure. It's an issue. People who are making money and not paying rent. And that's an issue. But not everybody is in that spot, Nate. Some people really are struggling. That's an issue. Some are really struggling. And there's a way around that. I think the way we did it was the wrong way. Tom says, I feel bad for her, I think meaning the young lady, because it wasn't her fault the pandemic happened. Agreed. I mean, whether you agree with a rent and or eviction moratorium or not, I would hope that we would still have empathy for particularly youngsters, but anyone, but particularly youngsters who are struggling when it's not their fault. I would hope we'd have some empathy for them, even if we think this is a bad idea or not. We shouldn't be jerks about it. I totally agree, Tom. We don't need to be jerks about it. Tony says, what about the problem tenants, neighbors that are hiding behind the rental eviction edicts and mandates? I'm at my wit's end with a fellow tenant. Yeah, yes. This goes back to Nate's point. You weren't the first person to tell me this either. So the people who are terrible tenants, they absolutely are like, yeah, I can now do whatever I want. All right, that's it. Party every night, bring my dogs in, blah, blah, blah. I think that is happening too. I agree, 100%. He also says, holy heck, it's pretty bad when you have to remind people in a commercial to call 911 to assist police officers before they start rubbernecking. I know, it's a funny commercial. It is. Absolutely. So Tony says, I'm on furlough. My unemployment is about $474-ish take home after taxes. Yeah. Depending upon where you live, that's nothing. Or that could be something if it's only you in certain areas. I don't know how good or bad that is. The point is, with that, is that I have to pay rent? Certain parts of New York State? Yeah. Certain parts? No. And do you have a family, Tony? I don't know you, Tony, if you have a family or not. You got a family? Is there someone else bringing in cash also? Or is it just you? All these things are all what we have to worry about. Now, let me tell you what I think we should have done. And some of you may think I'm crazy. But I know that we were going to bail out people. That's who we are. The American federal government does three things well: bomb people, imprison people, and write checks. We are really good at those three things. That's about all we're good at. So if you want people bombed, we got you. You want people imprisoned, we got you. You want people to write checks, we got you. Everything else, maybe you don't want to come to us. You don't want to come to the federal government, at least. Local governments can do things relatively well, depending upon the government. Some are bad too. But federally, three things we do well, and that's it. So I knew that this crisis did require bombing, a little bit of imprisoning, right? So we're good at that part. But writing checks, that's it. We're going to do that. We're good at that. So we'll write some checks. So I knew we were going to bail people out. And my point is always the same. The least corruption possible is what I want. I want to attack the root far more than the branches. And I brought up before the break, the root is debt. That's the root. Tony, if you get in trouble and you only can make $470 some odd a week, whatever that is, if you don't have to pay debt, you can survive. No doubt. You can survive on that. That's something you can survive on. You can tighten your belt and you can survive. Americans can survive. It's the debt that begins to destroy us. That's the issue. And postponing payments doesn't get rid of the debt. So the actual answer is something very simple. You tell every financial institution in the United States that for 6 months, and you start this last year, as I talked about, you start this in April or maybe March or May of last year, you say for 6 months, no financial institution may demand payment of any debt. That's it, for 6 months. So you don't demand an insurance payment, you don't demand a car note, you don't demand a mortgage payment, you don't demand any payment. Credit card payment, you don't demand. You can freeze credit cards if you want to. Up to you. You can do that if you want to, as you're able to do so. But you cannot in any way demand any debt payment for 6 months. If you do that, now I'm not saying the debt goes away. I'm just saying no payments for 6 months and no punishment for 6 months. So you're going to be delaying for 6 months. That's it. All right. If you do that, now you add two more things. You tell every renter that you may pay half your rent, but you're still going to pay half your rent for 6 months. You say, Larry, 6 months, half rent. How are the people, the landlords, going to survive on half rent? They're not paying their mortgage for 6 months. You can survive on just maintenance fees and such. You can do that. You can survive for 6 months on half rent if you're not paying your mortgage. It's doable. It doesn't crush the landlord. Not just that. You tell every employer, no matter what your contract is, you may pay half salary to everybody, no matter what, union or not. You may pay half salary. Larry, how am I going to survive on half salary? Well, if you have a house, you're not paying your mortgage. If you rent, you're paying half rent. And you're not paying your credit card bills. You can survive on half salary for 6 months. If you don't have to pay your credit card bills, you don't have to pay your mortgage or your rent's halved. You can survive on that. You're saying, Larry, that's tough. How can I survive on this? Oh my God, it's difficult. It is difficult, but it's not devastating. And more importantly, it doesn't disrupt you. That young lady that I talked about doesn't have to leave. She can keep her job if she wants to. People can still pay her because she's getting half salary. The guy or gal who's hiring her maybe can keep her job because he's only paying half salary. He can keep her on board, and they can think about 6 months for the future. The other group of people, they can keep their house. They're not paying the mortgage. This is a plan that could work. Is it crazy? Tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp. A free solution. Back after the break.
The new Dan Bongino Show, coming May 24th. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have increasing clouds. Could be a shower towards morning, lows around 40. On Friday, scattered shower or two early. Rain will become more likely in the afternoon. Could be briefly into the 50s, but temps will drop into the 40s with a chilly breeze with those showers Friday afternoon. Showers into Friday night. Saturday, mostly cloudy, maybe a shower in the 50s. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management. Let's talk about investment fees and commissions. Just how much are you paying to have your investments managed? If you're like most people, you really don't know the cost, right? Does this make any sense? Paying for something without knowing how much? Okay, maybe your advisor is a friend and even sends you a birthday card every year, but what real value is he providing and at what cost? Isn't that a fair question to ask of any service provider, including your broker? For a $2 million account with annual fees and commissions totaling 2.5%, you're paying $50,000 per year. That's a lot of money. Are you receiving that level of value? If you have over $250,000, I will personally review your investments, including an analysis of the actual cost. To schedule your no-cost review, call our Pittsford office at 381-9870 or contact us from our website, hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. That's hamiltonwealthmanagement.com.
Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC.
At Victor Chevrolet, we want you to know we are here for your transportation needs. Our factory-trained specialist in the Victor Service Department can expertly handle any repair. Our concierge service can arrange for pickup and delivery of your vehicle if you choose. We're here for repairs, maintenance, inspections, warranty work, and recalls. Victor Chevrolet can help no matter where you bought your car or truck. And if you need a new vehicle, Victor can sell you a car virtually on our website, victorchevrolet.com, or at our store. Call 869-6196. Trade-ins, financing, leasing. They're all available remotely and at your convenience. We're here to fully serve Chevy customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Depend on Victor Chevrolet, here for you with sales or any service issue, no matter where you bought your vehicle. Give us a call at 869-6196 or visit victorchevrolet.com. You can depend on the team at Victor Chevy for all your transportation needs, now and in the future.
When you feel sick for whatever reason, don't wait to get help. Noise Health Urgent Care now offers telemedicine appointments using your device to meet with a provider face-to-face from the comfort of your home. Call 585-243-9595 to schedule an appointment. Noise Health Urgent Care is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, even weekends and holidays. Walk-ins welcome at our Geneseo location, 50 East South Street. Digital X-ray available too. Noise Health Urgent Care. Your health care, your way.
Inside the Taylor Laboratories.
Hey, Tony, what you doing?
A little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope.
Ugh, what's that?
A sample of indoor air.
How can it be that dirty? Don't AC and furnace filters help?
Only with dust, Zach. But when Taylor installs a whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air, odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
I want to cook you the best cheeseburger ever, in your life, ever. I'm Camden from Tom Walls. Fresh ground steak, 2 slices of cheese. We don't cut corners. Tom Walls.
Tom Walls.
Flower City Collision in Henrietta is a local business, woman-owned, family-operated, locally grown. Flower City Collision is a certified Carco facility specializing in insurance repair. Get it done right. Visit flowercitycollision.com.
A free solution.
Hey guys, so happy to have you back here on A Free Solution. Larry Sharp, host of the Sharp Way Show. Also here, WYSL, Rochester, New York, WENY, ENI, Elmira and Corning, The Patriot, WACK in Newark, New York. But if you want to follow me on my cool Sharp Way stuff, go ahead, follow me on the Sharp Way. Follow me on YouTube. I do Sharp Way like every night at 7 p.m. I'll talk about Star Trek last night. Come on, whatever you want. I'm here for you. A lot of you are talking about the idea that I just brought up, that it's not so crazy, that it's about the debt. And I agree. It is about the debt. Now you might say, Larry, if in your cool scenario, the banks don't get paid, financial institutions don't get paid for 6 months, and now we can afford half rent and half salary for 6 months, what happens during those 6 months? Well, here's what happens. No disruption. You can stay at your job. You can stay at your home. And you don't have to stay home. You can actually figure out how to make this happen. You have 6 months to think about something. And Tony can decide, you know what? I'm going to want to change my job. And I can take those 6 months to figure out what my next step is. Or we can decide, you know what? I think my company's important. I love my company. I'm going to make it better. And here's how I can repair it and fix it and change it in the next 6 months to function the way it should function during this pandemic. People would have a way of planning and thinking. The young lady can decide, is the city right for her? Should she head back home or not? The couple can decide, do we want to let this guy go after 6 months? Or do we want to keep doing this in some way, shape, or form? It puts an absolute deadline on everybody. So we start thinking, what's the next step? It allows us to not be so stressed to think, I'm going to lose my job or lose my home. But no, I got 6 months to think what's going on. What about the banks, Larry? They're going to lose a bunch of money. They're not going to be happy about this. They're going to fight you. No, they'll be fine. Let me tell you why they'll be fine. We're going to drop about $4 trillion. Is that about right? Total in all this money we're giving away? Instead of giving all this money away and giving it away to cronies, to buddies, to big business, to all these things, instead, to local governments, all these things, instead, just go to the banks. Say, banks, you literally have actuaries who figure all this stuff out. Figure out how much money you would have gotten in 6 months. Let us know. Send us the money. Send us the numbers. We then take our government actuaries, which we literally have thousands of them on payroll, and they go back and forth. Find the right number, write the banks a check. Done. I'm not joking. We make the Fed makes some of its magic money. The rest we write a check for. Here's what I guarantee you. Less than $4 trillion. Guaranteed. In fact, less than $2 trillion. Guaranteed. We would spend less money and then we go directly to the banks, which they get anyway. And we're going to bail them out anyway. So just give them money directly. No cronyism, no corruption, one flat check to each bank. Have a nice day. Move on. Would the banks do this? Of course they would. Because in this case, it's guaranteed government money. If they have to be in the field for 6 months, some people aren't going to pay. Some people are going to go under. This is guaranteed. The government's writing you a check. Just use your actuaries, which you already have on payroll anyway. Here's your money. Banks go, yeah, we'll do that. Sure. And here's the best part. Some of the people are still going to pay. If you're doing well and you want to get rid of your debt, you pay anyway because you're doing well and you want to get rid of your debt. So people who are wealthier or in better positions who want to end their debt so they can make new investments, they will pay anyway because they're trying to get their debt down so they can make further investments. The people who wouldn't be paying would be people who can't pay or who are struggling. The wealthy would pay anyway because they're just trying to get new investments. Everybody is satisfied here. No corruption, no cronies. But Larry, How in the world are we going to have our local governments work if we don't write checks to local government? This is the most backward thing that we've done. We have to have money that goes to pay for government. Okay, how do we pay for government now? Taxes, right? So what if we just gave the money directly to the people and they pay taxes, make the government run? Huh. Yeah, makes no sense. So if we just let people work at half and pay bills at half, you could run the government at half because you could even pay government employees half. And I know something to say, Larry, that seems unconstitutional. How can the government get and enforce this? They forced us to stay in our homes. They've already destroyed the Constitution in so many ways. And this is the bad thing. Affecting large banks, which basically run the government anyway. That's my overstepping, is doing that. Affecting large banks. That's my overstepping. Compared to what we did, that's high school. That's not even the big leagues. That's high school stuff. No big deal. No big deal. And if you still want to pay your debt because you're in a good spot, pay it anyway. Pay it anyway. Doesn't matter. This type of answer is a much better answer. And it also encourages us to open up. It encourages us to move forward. It encourages us to look to the future versus just waiting for the government to save us. And you're seeing what's happening now. When we wait for the government to save us, we just sit home and become helpless. And now the Supreme Court has to step in, which it did, and literally say, the CDC can't make law. And the sad part is, we let them. We were like, yeah, the CDC, they're the experts. They get to make law. Do any of us vote on the CDC? Do any of us have any control on the CDC? No. They just make laws and decide there should be a moratorium on rent. What? There should be a moratorium on eviction. What? They don't get to decide that, do they? They did. Till the Supreme Court said no. But now each state is doing it anyway. So my point being, for those of you who think, Larry, you're overstepping, yeah, it's true. But I always try, and I hope most of you see, that I don't measure my plans against perfection because we get nothing done, and they're always bad because no plan is perfect. I measure my plan against status quo, against what's happening now. And if my plan is better than what's happening now, you should consider it. Now, if you have a better plan that's even better than status quo, let's go with your plan. I'm okay with that. I want the best plan. If it's not mine, oh, good. If my plan spurs you in making a better plan, even better. I hope so. But what I am sure of is if we had gone with my plan that, by the way, I spoke about last March, now 14 months ago, it would have been better than what we did now. And we wouldn't need a moratorium. We wouldn't need all these handouts now. They wouldn't be required. And people wouldn't be so scared. And that's the worst part. People are so scared. Let me grab a couple of comments here. Tony says, our landlord is hammering the tenants that are paying, constantly looking for a check. He can't evict the problem children and bums, but then it's fine. So he's hammering the good folks. Yeah.
Jay from Illinois.
That is what this actually encourages. It encourages the right people to get punished and the knuckleheads to get away with everything. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Jericho says it's not crazy. Makes much more sense. But I'm sure you still have some pushback because it would be the federal government telling private banks, mortgage lenders, etc., they weren't able to collect payments. Yeah. But I think if you guarantee them cash, they'll take it. If it's guaranteed, right? Actuary to actuary, they speak the same language. They'll take it. It's not perfect, Jericho. It's not. But it's better. I think it's better. And she says, however, I think yours is a much better solution than what the federal government actually did. Absolutely.
Jay from Illinois.
Let me grab a call if I can. Jay from Illinois. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Talk to me, my friend.
Oh, great. Taiwan, a nation of 23 million people, they had a short lockdown. They had 12 deaths. That was it. And now they're open. Schools are open. And, the similar thing with New Zealand and Australia. So why should we not pursue something like that?
I'm not saying we shouldn't. They had short lockdowns and a big their populations acted accordingly without having to use government force, right? It wasn't required for them. The case of East Asia in general, East Asia's gone through several of these, right? Was it bird flu? I forgot. SARS. They've been through many of these. So their culture was completely ready for this. I live in New York City. I'm not sure if you live in a big city or not, Jay, but in most big cities, there's a large East Asian community, often Chinese. And because they've been through this, you can see the people in that community very often do things like wear masks or socially distance, just like during flu season or something like that. That really is their culture, and they do it. That was not our culture. That is becoming our culture, I think, more, but that was not our culture. So asking Americans to do it and to react that way was difficult. It was done in Taiwan a whole lot easier. Second, you don't have the amount of people coming in and through Taiwan as much as you have, and Australia too, as much as you have in, say, New York City, right? 1/3 of New York City, people live in New York City, aren't born in the country. Another 1/3 aren't born in New York City. Depending upon the day, over 4 million people take our MTA system, and over 1 million people come in every morning and go out every afternoon. That's more than a population in most cities. So that's a big issue. Taiwan's population is the same as Texas. If that makes any sense. So it's a different issue. But I'm happy to keep going down this conversation. I think it's a good conversation. Taiwan and Australia did not lock down for a year. They had a short lockdown, good control, and they opened up. We should have followed that. That would have been good. So let me stay on the line if you don't mind. I'll get you after the break. I'll take you, any other callers, and comments. Larry Sharp, A Free Solution, back after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, He is my refuge and my fortress, for He will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Yes, indeed. Larry Sharp back here on A Free Solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York. WENY, ENI, Elmira, and Corning, The Patriot. WACK in Newark, New York. I said it once, I'll say it again. New York is the cool Newark. It's true. Sorry, New Jersey. Not as cool as us. 585-346-3000. Jay, do I still have you? Did I lose you, Jay?
He's gone.
I think I lost Jay. Maybe Jay didn't like my answer. I don't know. I kind of agree with him in a way. I wasn't against this idea of having a short lockdown. However, here's what I was talking about.
Jay is back.
Jay's back. Jay, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, did you hear my response?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, great. So what I was talking about was the cultural issue that Americans were dealing with. And I don't know if you were following me a year ago, but I literally talked about if I was governor, one of the first things I would have done was moved to adjust and shift our culture to be more open to this. And what I talked about was immediately removing all restrictions on distilleries so that anyone, even in their own home, in a nonprofit, could make hand sanitizer. And I would talk about that idea of allowing them to do it and selling the hand sanitizer without sales tax, so that now local nonprofits would begin to sell hand sanitizers. Not just that, allowing them to sell masks and to sell masks with no sales tax, allowing them to do so to the best of their ability. Telling my AG that anybody who wants to use 3D printing to create either a COVID test or even a respirator, any of those things, they could do it, and you are not to prosecute them if they use 3D printing, to allow more people to create those things. Now, would everyone have done so? No, of course not. But there would have always been early adopters. And as the early adopters begin doing that, people would have started doing New York Yankees masks and stuff. And that would have happened if I were governor in February or March, which means people would have voluntarily started to care about this stuff. And they would have been ready for it. They'd be like, you know what? This is the right answer. You would have found, VFWs and Knights of Columbus and local churches selling hand sanitizer and stuff like that. And then saying, if you are a local nonprofit at a community level, and we have to remove any restrictions that departments of buildings have when it comes to letting people sleep in common areas. Why? Because then, let's say you live in a home and you have someone at home who might be immunocompromised because of a disease, or maybe elderly or someone like that. And you start getting worried that if I work and I bring that home, that person might die. So you know what I should do? Let me go to work, but let me sleep at the church. Let me sleep at the VFW. Let me do my work, but let me not go home for a couple days. Let me basically self-quarantine. If we would have built that up and then spoke about that and then talked about a lockdown, the vast majority of New Yorkers and probably Americans would have done it on their own. We would have had it. And how do I know that? Because in New York City, before the lockdowns, before it was ordered, you could see the companies, the stores already starting to have, I remember they had this 6-foot distance stickers they were putting on the floors. They were putting up plastic barriers on their own without any government intervention. And my point is, once we made it a rule, now we started fighting. Now it became political. Now the logic was over. Now it was, I decide this because of who I am. And now the worst thing happened. You had people telling on their neighbor. And I saw it here in a story in New York like there was no tomorrow. Calling the cops because someone's walking down the street without a mask on. Now we're fighting each other. This became a civil political war. It didn't have to. Does that at least make sense, Jay, or no?
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I think culture is different based on where you go. And then my second question was, should the government do anything? I know the U.S. is a big country, but should the government do anything with travel in Taiwan and Australia? In Australia, they've deployed the military to quarantine you once you arrive. In Taiwan, they closed travel for a while. Should we do any of that?
And yet, another great point, right? That was what I was bringing up. I know that we wanted to ban travel from China. I think that's what the Trump administration did. Great, but not great. And the reason is, if you're going to ban travel, then you have to ban travel. And the problem is there were many American citizens who were in China. So when the ban came, they all rushed back. And as they all rushed back, many of them came into either California or into Washington State. And that actually helped to increase the amount of COVID cases. Same in New York. New York's a massive, place where people come in, a port. People come in, and it made everything worse. If you're going to ban travel, and I'm not necessarily against banning travel for a short period of time. I'm not necessarily against that. But if you're going to do it, it's everybody. Or it actually makes things worse. And that's what actually happened, right? It actually made things worse. People who were Americans rushed back, and they brought COVID back with them. So if you're going to do that, just do it. If you're not going to do it, no worries. You don't start a panic. They don't rush back, and you create an environment to where people care. The most important piece here that I think, Jay, is that we did a blanket solution. And a solution should have been very much better in that the elderly and immune system compromised people are the ones who are killed by this, far more than anybody else. Not even close. If we would have set up protocols to protect them, oh my God, would we have had a different response. And if we'd done that well, early on, and I was talking about this for February.
1 minute.
If we had done that, by the time 6 months had come by, we already would have had protocols. We probably wouldn't have needed a shutdown. But would I have been against a total traffic shutdown for a certain amount of time? Not the end of the world. I'd be okay with it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate the call. Guys, it's important that we understand that culture matters. And if ideas are good, they don't require force. I don't want to be forcing people to do things. I want people to want to do them. I want to show them with my example, with my community, and with results. I think we all do. It's not that people don't want change. They love change. They don't want to be changed. So I'm not going to change you. My solutions don't include that. Guys, have a great week. I will see you all next week.